It's been a difficult start for Wrexham to their life in the Championship, following, of course, all the back-to-back promotions they've had from being in the National League to now being in England's second tier of football. And they are employing a transfer policy of going for experienced players who are perhaps a little bit older than developing youth that may serve them well in the future. And it's an interesting argument and debate they're trying to weigh up here, because of course in the Championship it is an incredibly tough league. You need that experience and you need that quality instantly to be able to cope and compete and not hopefully be at risk of going straight back down again. But at the same time, these are players who probably won't be around for as long as players who they could develop and start to bet in now and could be really good in the future. So it's an interesting one to weigh up. But of course, I think from Wrexham supporters' perspective, they want to be doing okay now, and the future can sort itself out when it comes round to it. And you could argue that both could happen simultaneously, to be honest, that development can still go on, but they need to also bringing in experience. So some may say that actually the strategy has been good, but regardless of that, the start has been difficult with some of the losses they've experienced at this level, and ultimately perhaps that was always going to be the case. I think another promotion was always going to be very, very difficult, especially getting into the Premier League. But just what is the feeling at Wrexham at the moment? To find out more, let's go to our Wales sport correspondent, Charles Hague-Jones. Charles, what are your thoughts on Wrexham's transfer policy? And can both things be true and happen at the same time? And where do you envisage them come the end of the season?
Yeah, it's not been a good summer really in terms of Wrexham's results on the field. They obviously sort of struggled in most of their club friendlies, only winning one game, and they've obviously won on the EFL Cup penalty shootouts against Hull, but on the opening day they took the lead obviously against Southampton, then conceded 2 in the last 10 minutes of the game away at Southampton, obviously relegated from the Premier League. I think that just shows some of the levels that Wrexham are going to have to operate in. The game wasn't done at all. They were 1-0 up. They had to dig in a bit deeper, and Southampton just came alive with Will Still's influence and Manning getting the 90th minute free kick, and then Stevens winning the game. I mean, it's just an incredible situation that Wrexham are in. They're going to be playing these guys who've had loads of Premier League experience. They need to adjust quickly. It hasn't gone to plan. Obviously, they then face West Brom, also another club with previous top flight experience throughout their history. They did think they maybe clawed something back in the game, but Isaac Price had a fantastic day for the Baggies, and losing at home, obviously something we've mentioned before. Wrexham's home record since the takeover, since these 3 promotions on the bounce, has been pretty much impeccable. To lose home is tough to take. They did still score 2 goals. They are still scoring goals and creating loads of chances. That is something Wrexham have to make sure they are using as a positive. They obviously maybe face a bit of a nicer run now in the next few weeks in the Championship. But Phil Parkinson's side have got to make sure that they are adjusting in terms of the summer window. Obviously didn't go great on the pitch, but they've explored big moves. They've broken their record multiple times, and the last time they broke it was the 80s. But they have faced early Championship issues. Despite the signings, they've lost their first 2 games in the league, obviously Southampton and West Brom, and now they really have to look at a few things. Parkinson's going to be under a bit of scrutiny. They're going to question whether success lower down can translate into the Championship. But I think this season's going to be a real sort of transformative season for Wrexham as a club. Can they adjust, firstly, to the demands of the Championship? Now, that's going to be the huge issue. The story will surround it for the whole season, whether they can remain. And then secondly, can they ensure that they are becoming a club that this is their bottom standard now, that they are up in the Championship? So they've got to stay up, they've got to remain and start to build over the next couple of seasons. It's going to be an interesting season throughout, but there's always a storyline with Wrexham in this modern era, and we are keeping track of it and keeping you up to date with the latest.